The Chicago Bears 2025 season has officially begun. Training camp is here, and with it, a lot of press conferences, practices, updates to get us set for the start of the 2025 season. Of course, last year's was incredibly anticipated. The start of Jay Cutler's career as a Chicago Bear in 2009 was anticipated, with Trubisky being a Chicago Bear in 2017, with Justin Fields in 2021. So many Bear seasons are anticipated, one of the largest fan bases of any franchise in any sports around the world. But 2025 has a different type of feel to it. Not that this team is going to win the Super Bowl. We're always hoping that, but that the right positions have been improved and that the coach looks to be the guy. Now, starting with the defensive line, they went out and shorted the interior. We know how much the Chicago Bears struggled to stop the run last year. And you're in the NFC North, you're in the NFC, you have to stop the run. Those great defenses with Lovie Smith always had very good interior defensive line players. So there's Grady Jarrett now. They invest in Shamar Turner, taking draft capital. A little bit of the question marks surrounding Gervon Dexter, hearing a little bit of updates that he might be moving towards the outside, then his role as the three technique on this defense with Dennis Allen, the new defensive coordinator, could be adjusting. So we'll be giving updates as that happens. Of course, on the edge, Dayo Odeyingbo is looks to be the starting edge defender. Austin Booker, we're looking to hear very good updates about he develops as the edge. Of course, there's Montez Sweat on the other side. On the offensive line, we know about Drew Dolman, Jonah Jackson, Joe Thuney, but with Braxton Jones's injury, we now know fully that Ozzie Trapilo is going to be maybe even a 50-50 right now to be the starting left tackle for Chicago next year. Kieran Amedaji is still getting some reps to be that guy. That Darnell Wright, it looks to be the solidified right tackle, and hopefully that doesn't change, and he lives up to be the guy that we traded back. We had the rights to take Jalen Carter at number 9. We had him. We decided to trade back. Didn't want to deal with potentially developing the off-the-field stuff. He's now one of the best defensive players in the NFL. Could wind up being a defensive player of the year at some point. Could be this year, who knows? But we took Darnell Wright instead of Jalen Carter. Had the rights to taking him, so it's important that he turns into a fundamental part of the offensive line. This year, that needs to happen. Week 1 against Minnesota with Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave, right? Andrew Van Ginkel. They have guys. Jonathan Grenard, Dallas Turner. Hargrave and Allen are in the middle. He's going to be seeing a Dallas Turner who didn't get a lot of production last year as a first-round pick defensive line player that was the best defensive player in the SEC 2 years ago. It shows you how good Minnesota was on the edge spot. So Chicago, we hear the updates from Ryan Poles that are a little bit concerning. And what is interesting in terms of the lingo here is, he says Jalen is going to be out for a couple weeks. Does that mean 2? Are we talking about the couple means 2? Is it 3? Is it 4? It does sound altogether positive that he will be starting and healthy by week 1. That's all we'll have to take of it. Likely will not be seeing him with reps in the preseason is the way I interpreted it. Let me know in the comments if you think it's leaning a certain way. I'm more headed towards the likes of, I would rather be a tiny bit more ready for a week 1 game and not whatsoever risk having our starters hurt than those guys potentially getting hurt in a preseason game and coming out that half being ready. Because like we saw, guys playing, the Chicago Bears have not been a very good week 1 team. It didn't take until the last 20 minutes against Tennessee last year to actually turn it around somewhat on offense. But there was a pick 6. There was the punt return for a touchdown. It wasn't like the offense was starting to click out of nowhere with Shane Waldron. Now, with Ben Johnson coming to the, so to say, podium, right, is what he did. And the way he speaks, we can talk about coaches. Obviously, I'm not going to go out here and say, you just know a guy is going to be an incredible coach because of the way he speaks. Because a perfect example of that is Bill Belichick. There's never been a more boring, sort of an annoying type guy to be at the podium, listen to have to answer questions, mumbling, bumbling, stumbling through his words. And then you hear a guy like Nick Saban or maybe a Ryan Day for the Ohio State Buckeyes, Dan Campbell, that speak with a little bit more passion in their words and more entertaining. It's not that they're better coaches than Bill Belichick. It's just people have different styles of speaking. So Ben, you can get excited about the way he speaks. You can't crown the guy as the best coach that the Bears have ever had just because of the way he talks at the podium. That's not going to be decided until the guys in Navy get in between the lines, week 1 against the Minnesota Vikings, because that is a game we need to win. When you've got back-to-back divisional games within the NFC in the first 3 matchups, you got the Dallas Cowboys. The week after that, you're going to need the start of the season to be at the very least a 1-1, getting a win in the first 2 weeks within the division. Otherwise, you're 0-2 in the conference, 0-2 in the division to start the year, and you're like, this feels just like previous seasons. And the fact, I don't weigh a lot into back in 2020, that crazy comeback against Detroit with Trubisky, 3 passing touchdowns, in the fourth quarter. Last year against Tennessee, or either the win against San Francisco in a sloppy manner. How many of those week 1 wins, 2010 against the Detroit Lions, getting lucky with Calvin Johnson that call, how many of these week 1 games have the Chicago Bears looked good in? I would say that the best the Bears have looked in a week 1 game was 2012 against the rookie first start of his career in Andrew Luck. I'd have to go back 13 years to the first time the Bears looked truly good week 1 and didn't have a disaster happen. Green Bay, right? They look great through 3 quarters or 2, especially Khalil Mack, right? But the offense and the way that ends, you can't say that the week 1 game against Green Bay, you have a fond memory of that game. You lost to the Packers, your arch rival, blew a 20-point lead, and Aaron Rodgers and you're just wanting to vomit all over the screen. You just want to go to sleep for the next 2 weeks before that Monday night game ended up being against the Seattle Seahawks. Prince Amukamara with the pick 6 to seal it. Next week, you beat Arizona. You beat Tampa the next week, and you're off to the races in that 2018 season. Oh my goodness, at the fact that was already 6.5, 7 years ago. Wow, I don't even want to think about it. I just want to think about the present. It's so weird thinking about the past. But 2012, really, that was the last time they came out strong. A week 1 of a year, that team winds up going 10-6. Lovey gets fired, and famously, Urlacher doesn't come back. So Ben Johnson in the starts, you're going to have to look strong. Of course, Detroit and Minnesota are good teams. That's why they both won 14 or more games. The 2 of them last year, neither team won a playoff game. They're just Bears fans. You saw Minnesota, Detroit, Green Bay all make the playoffs. Same amount of playoff wins as us, baby. Top Bears. But it's still, they were very solid, throughout the whole year. Green Bay losing games to Minnesota twice, Detroit twice, in Philadelphia. They're only losing to very good football teams. All of them are threats. So what does that mean in training camp? Ben Johnson talked about, it's not exactly linear, right, in the development of a quarterback. There's different things. He set the standard, though. He wants Caleb at some point to be able to be a 70% completion percentage type guy. When you're hearing that as a Bears fan and hear not just offensive coordinator or quarterback's coach, or come out of quarterback's mouth, but the head coach of your Chicago Bears say he wants it to get to 70% or around that, which means that we're really looking for something that's over 66.5, 67 and above, completing 2/3 of your passes, a little bit higher than that. It gets you a little bit excited. And we heard Ryan Pace say the word excited enough times to make us physically sick. He said excited it just drove you crazy. I'm excited about this. I'm excited about the development. I'm excited about the season. It was I've heard that word too many times, but it is relevant to that because he talks about Jared Goff, right? The last couple of years, 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns. Detroit, the last 2 years, has put up over 1,000 points combined, 500 points a season. The only other team has been the Baltimore Ravens. And then when you listen to other people analyzing it, and I heard Diana Rossini and Colin Cowherd talking about, well, look, the Lions and the Bears offense is going to look so different. I think that was well said. It's obvious that Caleb Williams and Jared Goff have very specific and different skill sets, right? Caleb is a little bit smaller, the arm likely not as accurate down the field. I remember a couple of special throws he made at UCLA, but his bread and butter were the quick release, making plays off grid, off schedule, evading pressure, rolling outside the pocket, or when he's in the pocket, just that rifle, those intermediate throws like we saw against the Minnesota Vikings in November last year, the Sunday before Thanksgiving, almost the overtime comeback. Down 11 with 24 seconds, get the touchdown 2-point conversion, and then the field goal after the deep completion to DJ. It's like, whoa, what a thrower. A couple of completions to Keenan Allen. It's like this talent is all there. I'm not saying anything different than other people have, that it's not like the talent is the issue, it's the coaching, which therefore reading between the lines would be to say, all right, we're going to see Caleb throw some more interceptions this year. So what leads also to say that we could definitely see that first 4,000-yard passer and 30 touchdowns. If I had to really come up with a stat line based off of all the information we had to absorb, learning that they're going with Luther Burden and Colston Loveland, really looking to have that balance within the run game to the pass with a lot of play action, I would say 32 touchdowns, 41-50 to 11 interceptions coming out with it. Now, that could be the best stat line for a Bears quarterback in history, but also would probably come out with a 9-8 record. The schedule is extremely tough. Now that people have overlooked it, but when you play your divisional rivals, sometimes you overlook the fact that it doesn't matter what the records are. Those are just going to always be tough games, and getting them early is a little bit of an advantage to play a Minnesota or a Detroit. J.J. McCarthy's first ever start in the National Football League. Absolutely a better opportunity to beat them at home instead of later on when you get Minnesota this year. So that's what I would say as far as the stat line. You can call it overzealous for what to think, but that is why you took Caleb 1 overall. That is less than what Jared Goff has produced, and no one is going to come out and say that Jared Goff is more talented a quarterback than Caleb Williams. For the first couple of years, it wasn't until Sean McVay got there, or we saw the spurts, some of the brilliance out of Jared Goff, and then with Detroit, once they got very good pieces around him, that the run game was established. So thank you so much for watching. It's so much excitement for the team this year. A lot of reservations and drawbacks towards them, because that's what's natural as a Bears fan, and you grow up to have. But it's all coming together. We're going to keep coming out with more content as this thing comes around, learning a little bit more information about the squad. We'll see, how Colston Loveland, that injury develops. So please subscribe. Obviously, a diehard Bears fan here. So please, follow, subscribe for more content coming out here. And yeah, have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Go Bears.
Best player in college football.
That Georgia and Ohio State game, New Year's Eve, is going to be a classic.
Josh Blunder, hi everybody, I'm Josh Blunder.
To the 40, 35, 30, Espinosa to the 20.